All right, we're rolling. This is going to be a special promotional video for me. I'm really excited about the location and topic here today. If you're not familiar with this, I ride around on my electric unicycle and I talk about things related to poker that are happening in my life, both strategy, content, theory, and just sort of general things that are happening. The idea is to connect with other people to go and do big things inside and outside of poker. Some of that stuff is to get more into coaching, more into content creation, and just to help myself with my own study and knowledge as I grow in the game. But what I'm really trying to do at the end of the day is connect with more people down the line who have skills that I don't have and that can help me do big things inside and outside of poker. I call that idea the All-In Alliance. And I'm going to put a little kind of advertisement for the things that I'm interested in, just kind of right down there in the corner. If you see anything that or sort of is interesting to you and you're able to help me out with these things, connect with me on my Discord and different channels. I'm trying to use my poker money to fund bigger things inside and outside of poker. So all that said, you may be here now for sort of like entertainment and poker knowledge, and I hope that is, sort of the focus of this channel for a while. But realistically, what I want to do is eventually grow and start doing more charity and giving back. My faith is very important to me, and if I could find a way to help out others through poker, I think that would be a very, very worthwhile cause. And we'll get more into that in the video for the reasons for that. But I just wanted to say, yeah, this is a video from Nantucket. I'm riding in from downtown Nantucket. I have that church up there right now. We just passed by that. I went to service there, and it was an excellent time, and we're riding out east to Madaket Beach here. And the topic that we're going to talk about today is the Christian's relationship with poker. Sort of, what does the Bible say? What does it mean? Can we play poker? And we're just going to kind of get into that. So I'm going to just bring up a few things here. And the first is, if you play poker with me on a named screen site, my name is Proverbs 28:20, which is, a faithful man will be abound with blessings, but he who makes haste to be rich will not go unpunished. I love that quote. I love Proverbs in general. That one in particular, I think, is both relevant for poker and life. And so we're just starting off with there. But we're going to talk about poker specifically. What does the Bible say? That's a great question. It doesn't actually say anything for or against poker. So we're going to kind of work around it and figure out what it may say. I think it's a very relevant quote to say and understand that the Bible says that all things are lawful to me, but all things are not expedient. And all things are lawful for me, but I shall not be brought under the power of any. And poker is definitely something that is not expedient by itself, right? You're just playing a game. You're not really advancing anything. And it can really bring you into the material world. So while the Bible doesn't say anything specifically about poker, I think we're going to build a framework so we can understand the game a little bit better from different angles, from different sort of vocations or avocations in your relationship to the game. One of the main things is the Bible is very, very certain about trying to abstain from the appearance of evil. What does that mean? Well, say if you're a poker player, poker itself is, a skill-based game that you can play, but maybe the only way you play poker is at a casino and you're drinking. And around, drinking, maybe there's sort of prostitution or other gambling or drugs and other bad decisions that you can make. And the Bible is very, very clear about the snares that the material world offers. The more we get attached to the material, the more sort of we jeopardize our souls with sin. So while poker itself may not really have any issues, we have to abstain from the appearance of evil. We can't be just going to a casino and sort of like just getting drunk and gambling and whooping it up. That is not actually the ideal way to play poker. So we're just going to keep kind of giving some context around what the Bible may say, because we really want to mold our character into what the Bible says. We don't want to kind of have like a wishy-washy attitude about things. And we can really find some very strong opinionated things about money and greed and different issues regarding the Bible. It's quite obvious that the Bible is going to discourage the love of money. And the people, I'll just read some quotes here. For example, those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. And some people eager for money have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. That probably speaks to a lot of people's hearts for not just poker, but things in general. People are attracted to quick money. Sort of the allure of poker is definitely kind of easy money as a possibility. And if that is your motivation, if that is what's driving you, is abundance and the love of money, you're not going to be playing poker in a way that the Bible can, confer upon you any sort of blessings. You're going to be ensnaring yourselves more in the material world, and that is quite dangerous. So, watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed, and life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. Now, one of the things that is very clear about the Bible is that man's condition is man is meant to work. That is from the fall of man from Genesis. Our life is essentially meant to toil and work. The Bible is very clear on that in many different examples. It says, this one in particular, if you would not work, neither should you eat. So poker can certainly be a profession that we work at, right? Studying, reviewing, growing, running sims, just all kinds of things, waking up early, staying in good discipline, working on the psychological aspects of your game. All very, very important things to do. All things that I do consider to be work. Putting in time, reviewing, studying, growing is work. That is work. Finding games, waking up early, treating the job, poker, like work is extremely important. This is I'm just watching this footage for myself for the first time, and I'm kind of learning some things as we go along. This is a really great ride. It really opens up from here on out. But the point I wanted to make with regarding this is if you are treating Bible from, if you're treating poker from the Bible perspective as a professional, I think if you're putting in work that it's not quite a gray area. It's gray in the sense that poker is a game and it's not expedient. But if you are working and it is your profession, I think that there is some allowance for that. Because the fool who doesn't work, he eats his own flesh. So, that condition that we are meant to work, it is part of man's condition. But what Ecclesiastes says, and that's this quote right here, that it is good and fair for a man to take meat and drink and to have joy in all this work under the sun for the days of his life which God hath given him, and that is his reward or lot. So if you do find kind of enjoyment in your work, that is one of the most important things that, that God can give you. You're meant to toil and work, but if you find abundance in your sort of enjoyment and the life in eating, you've been blessed by God. And that is sort of how I feel right now in regarding to my life. So that's more from the perspective of, a professional working and toiling. If you can find enjoyment in that, then you are blessed. And that is very, very important to remember, because everyone should toil and everyone is not always going to be happy in doing so. I want to cover another topic. Poker is definitely a skill game. It's a skill game with an element of variance. And variance, I've learned a lot about through reading the Bible. The act of casting lots, if you're not familiar with that, that is essentially rolling dice and letting the random outcome actually not be so random because it is ordained by God. God can control all of these things. And casting lots has many, many examples in the Bible. Well over 80 in the Old Testament, plenty in the New Testament. They cast lots for all kinds of important things. They cast lots for Jesus's clothing. They cast lots to bring Matthias in as a new apostle after Judas. In the Old Testament, there were high priests who had lots that were so sacred that realistically, common lay people wouldn't even see them. The Urim and the Thummim were, very, very specific things. So God is basically able to make these decisions, and for really difficult decisions, the Bible says you can sort of be hands off and let the roll of the dice determine the outcome, because God is in the determination of that outcome. And it can be used for all sorts of things. I think that's really important to recognize. The lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposing thereof is of the Lord. And when we are casting these lots, it's really important that we're doing this and honoring God. There have been times in the past where the destiny god or fate or the gamble gods and everything like that are maybe the ones you're praying to, but you shouldn't do that. It should be to the one, the Almighty. And I want to give an example of that, where this is a hand history that I played a little bit over a year ago, back when I was starting to get back into poker. I was faced with the decision in this particular hand where I have a royal flush draw, and money was going in, and sort of the odds and equity they're just kind of tight. And I slowed down in the moment, and I said, God, I'm going to be facing a lot of these decisions, and money's going to be splashing around, and is this even prudent? Should there be reasons to do things like this? And before making this call, I said that prayer, and I said, God, give me a sign. And I called this all in, multiple three-ways all in on the King 10-4 suited board with Ace Jack suited, and immediately the next turn card gave me a royal flush. So in my mind, that's an example of me casting lots and looking to God for an example, for his guidance. And I found something that was just pretty fantastic in that moment, and I thank God for that. I think about that all the time. And I have found God in other examples like that in poker. Sort of like stilled myself and in the moment sort of asked God for certain things in playing poker, and I have been answered every time. And I just wanted to share that particular hand history because that really stood out to me, that God answered me through poker. So the general idea too is poker is a competitive game, right? And we have instincts to kind of kill or be killed, and everything is like a dog-eat-dog world. But the Bible doesn't want us to be competitive in that regard. So can a Christian play poker? Well, he shouldn't be doing these things from rivalry or conceit. He should be doing it with camaraderie, right? And concerned about the interests of others. And that's something that I've had to mold my character to. I'm more interested now in connecting with others, helping others, not berating others, just really enjoying the game and the people who play it, and trying to do more and better things outside of it. I think a really important thing is to do that, to work heartily, and you work for the Lord, and it's not for the men. You're trying to do God's will and God's plan. You're serving the Lord. And I want to add one additional quote that sort of exemplifies that point and what I'm trying to do by connecting with other people. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor. But if they fail, the other one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up again. Again, if 2 lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, 2 shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. And I think that last line is extremely important about the threefold cord that is not broken. We, can be very isolated if you're a poker player, especially if you're a professional, especially if you're an online grinder. It's not really about community, but what is most important in the Bible here is saying is that if you can connect with other people and work towards sort of common goals that honor God, it's incredibly powerful, and it makes you much, much stronger, and it makes you not so alone. So we've looked at poker from kind of a couple of different angles here. That the Bible doesn't want us to be greedy. We can't play poker if it's for the love of money. We can't do it with like avarice. What we want to do is connect with other people. We want to keep God in our heart when we're playing, and we want to try and grow and do better things together. The Bible doesn't say anything specifically about gambling or about poker, and it doesn't say anything exactly specifically about gambling, but the idea is gambling is essentially not working. It's trying to take something and earn more without putting anything else in. And so if you're playing poker in a highly gambling way, that's not the way to do it. If you understand that, God has basically control of all things, even down to the roll of like the dice or the outcome of the cards, it really changes kind of things. You don't need to gamble. You need to be happy with your lot and appreciate God. I want to add in just this last quote here. It says, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors as it is today." So we want to thank God for the things that we do. If we do generate wealth, it can be from God. So poker can be these things. When it comes down to an actual Bible study on poker, it's kind of wishy-washy. It depends on your personal relationship with it. Are you seduced by all kinds of things? Are you being greedy? Or are you doing it with like the love of God and other man in your hearts? So it's kind of like a quick and dirty Bible study on what the Bible says. I've reached the end here at Madaket Beach. It was beautiful. I had such a nice weekend. I hope this was informative, and I appreciate you being here and watching this with me today.